place. I'm so ready for a change of pace. I'm just looking for a new routine. So he grabs his cap, throws a dart at a map, and now he's living in Rolling Green. Bring it back. Bring it back. Bring it back. Bring it back.
Welcome back to the Weekend Warriors show, where I'm going to forego the usual box office recap because, frankly, this weekend is Super Bowl and it's a pretty horrible weekend so far. Very few movies we're talking about, let alone talking about again. More importantly, I have a very special guest this week. And it's only my second guest, which is crazy, but someone I consider a legend in the business, Mr. David Poland, who I've known for practically 20 years.
At least.
At least 20 years, yeah. But we're being on opposite coasts. We don't see each other very much, which is kind of
That's
like,
true.
except for like festivals and like Comic-Con. But like I don't go to those anymore either. So it's kind of like,
Yeah.
I first knew about you from the Hot Button website, which I don't know. When did you actually start the Hot Button? I don't even know that. I kind of just discovered it.
Well, originally it was Rough Cut in 1996.
Oh, okay,
Was
wow.
what very or 1997 very began, and then I started doing the daily column in the summer of '97, and that became a 2,000 day award column in '98.
Okay.
And then Rough Cut killed us, or TNT, when AOL merged with them. AOL killed all their non-AOL online stuff, so we were killed in 2001. And then I started. There was a Voices of Hollywood, and there was a Hot Button, and then Movie City News really started in 2002.
Oh, Movie
2000
City News, of course. The site was Movie City News. That's right. The Hot Button was
The Hot
a
Button was the
column.
column,
Right.
and then for a minute it was the name of the thing, and then it was the part of Movie City News, and then I killed Movie City News and just went to the Hot Button on Substack.
Yeah, and it's great. Movie City News was great. It was a great, like, it was a go-to place for like awards and box office. And who's the guy who did box office? Ray Pride? Was that him?
No, it was
No.
well, there was originally it was Len Clady,
Oh,
who
okay,
had been the
located.
guy at Variety for a very long time,
Okay.
and then I took over. I mean, the Hot Button became a box office thing as well, so it kind of became a mix between Len and I, who we didn't always agree actually on a lot of the principles of the thing. So it was kind
Hmm.
of interesting. We would have our fights about it, and yeah, it was the whole idea of of the Movie City News concept was really to find, besides the original writers we had, to aggregate content, but to find the best
Hmm.
of the aggregated content or the originator of an original idea. So now you have the trades are constantly redoing the same stories over and over again from other places. They're watching podcasts and running them as news.
Hmm.
And our thing was to find the original thing and for the best version of the story or the truest version of the story and run with it. And we'd comment in the headlines, which has made me many enemies over the years.
Oh, wow. Well, it means you started really kind of early on in
The
the
beginning.
World Wide Web. I mean, I was online in like 1994. I was probably writing around that same time, but I didn't like when you get into the websites. I didn't start
Yeah.
doing movie stuff till later. But one thing we do, which I really like a lot, is DP30. You do these long form interviews with filmmakers, and you just posted this like cache of like Sundance interviews, which I'm trying to find time to go through them because it's amazing. It's amazing who you got to talk to in those years.
Yeah, there are a couple thousand, more than a couple thousand half hours with people.
Wow.
And the funny thing is, it still makes me crazy because the very beginning I was working with another company and they did not take good care. It was back in the early days of the internet and they didn't really take care of their library properly. And so when I split from them, our agreement was that I would take whatever I had done. And like most of it is gone.
Oh, wow.
The original idea of before DP30 became the interview show, it was me talking to camera for 5 minutes, like like I was sitting and having lunch with a friend. It was called Lunch with David, and I would just talk about whatever was going on in the industry for five
Okay.
minutes, like I was
Wow.
talking to somebody, and it was really fun. Gone, completely gone.
Wow.
As were interviews with Verhoeven and actually a lot of entertainment journalists who I had on the show once I started doing guests. And of course, the very first, what would become DP30 was Jackie Earle Haley for Little Children,
Oh, okay.
and gone.
Yeah, I have the same problem because I did a lot of video interviews at Coming Soon. Like some of them are just on my flip cam, and
Yeah.
all the video content is done the photos. I took some photos, like really good photos of like, Todd Haynes signing copies of Not There. I did really good kind of interesting photos. Not I'm not a photographer, but I was just do the interview and then I just grab a photo and they were so fun and all gone. Everything's
Yeah.
gone there. But another thing you do, which kind of goes back to like the talking to the just about what's going on. David reads the trades. That's your new thing. You've been keeping it really consistent. Again, I wish I had more time to watch it every day because it's much more entertaining than actually reading the trades. If you read the trades, it's actually funnier to hear your version of stuff than just kind of like, yeah, going through
Yeah.
it all. Because like you say, variety is literally just like grabbing quotes from podcasts now, and
Well, at
that's
some point, I just thought, I read the trades every day. I have opinions about the trades every day. I don't want to write long pieces about everything all the time. And that's kind of where the idea of the podcast came from. And it was like, well, I'm doing it anyway.
hmm,
I might as, and then it was originally like supposed to be 10 minutes or so because it was like quick and you can do it quickly and all that. And it's become an hour long pretty much every day, at least an hour long,
yeah.
almost every single day. So but it keeps me focused.
Yeah. Another thing I wonder about, have you ever been an East Coaster or have you always been LA, California?
I originally was an East Coaster. I was from Baltimore, Miami, and then I
Oh,
went to New
okay.
York for NYU.
Okay.
And when I was in New York for a few years after NYU and worked at Saturday Night Live and I started with the beginning of Fox Television on the East Coast on Upper East Side with Rupert actually around quite a bit.
Hmm.
And I was in a show with Matt Lauer. Matt Lauer is the host that we got canceled because Howard Stern wanted our stage
Oh,
and they only had 3 stages in that space for Channel 5 in New York. And so we were dumped because Howard Stern wanted to do a show and he didn't do it.
ah,
So, but fortunately, Matt Lauer never got into anybody's pants in our show, as far as we know. So
good.
that worked out.
Or Rupert either. I
Well,
don't know.
Rupert was like very serious. It was fascinating because it was a current affair,
Oh,
and
okay.
that those shows were
Remember that.
happening, and he
Yeah.
was very, very into it. He was like really producing
Hmm.
those shows. He was there all the time, and he was very serious about news back then. It's changed a little bit.
Yeah. I kind of always thought you always had a bit of a like an East Coast bite, a little sardonic like bite that you lived here for some
I
amount of
moved out
time.
here 30 something years ago, but it's
Okay.
like people from LA think I'm from New York, and people from New York think I'm from LA.
Wow, that's funny. Wow. Okay. Well, listen, the main reason I want to have you on the show, I mean, we could talk about anything really, but like I kind of known you for Oscars. You always do this like however many weeks to the Oscars, and you do like a weekly thing about what's changing. It feels like less is changing these days in the weeks leading up to Oscars
Almost
and
nothing. Yeah.
nothing. Yeah, nothing now. So it's kind of hard. But I want to that's why I wanted to talk to you about some of that stuff. Because like one of the things I've noticed is that it's changed. It's no longer like we used to have years where like Titanic would win everything. Slumdog Millionaire, win everything.
Right.
Hurt Locker, win everything. Lord of the Rings. I mean, that go on and on.
Yeah.
And these days, it's kind of like you have a movie like Sinners. It sets a new record for the Oscar nominations, but it's not going to win 16 Oscars. It's going to be lucky to win 4 or 5, and it's just
Be
like not.
lucky to win any.
Oh well, I guess, I guess,
I
I
mean,
guess.
honestly, it's not about Sinners. It's not about judging the movie. It's about the reality is a lot of I did a list at some point. There were I think 25 the 25 last 20 years I guess it was of movies that had been the highest number of nominations. Only
Oh
7 ended up winning Best Picture.
wow, okay,
So
yeah,
the odds are against you in a way if you have the most nominations.
yeah. I feel like that's the other thing. Like when they announced that 16 nominations, new record, it literally put a target on its back. It's like everyone in the Academy is going to be like, well, they got the nominations. I don't need to like, I feel like there's
I
gonna.
think normally I
Well,
would feel that way, but I feel like this season it doesn't matter. I think
okay.
nobody cares. I think we are now
Huh.
the bubble for award season has become so intensely concentrated that we're all just talking to each other,
Right, right. Yeah.
and that there are people who think like the guys of the trades who think that they're the most important people in the entire world. Blah 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 blah. We had an incident with one of them a couple of years ago where his email came out that he had written to the people saying, "If you don't show me the movie first, I'm not going to do this." And they're like,
Yeah, yeah.
the ego stroke of it, because it is the publicists who do these movies. They're not only taking care of their movie, they're taking care of the awards voters. They're also taking care of the journalists.
Mm,
And part of the being taking care of the journalists is making journalists feel like they matter.
yeah,
And
yeah.
the truth of the matter is that the Academy, I think journalists matter less and less. I think that moving it to 10,000 plus voters has completely taken a lot of the ability to manipulate out of the system. And I think you've also seen fewer and fewer players jump in and chase in a way. I mean, you have people who are hopeful, who are desperately hopeful and think, oh, this is the moment, but they're
Mm.
not getting anywhere. They can't, it is almost impossible unless you spend a great deal of money so that you're there. And then you have a strategy that works from the beginning to the end. Um, you're not in the game, really.
Yeah.
And so the expansion to 10 nominees changed everything, not in the way they were expecting. They were kind of expecting it would bring in, the big talk back then was The Dark Knight and that those
Oh, right.
movies had not been nominated.
I remember that. Yeah.
But what it did was it brought in the little tiny films that never got nominated in the past. Movies like this year, it's like movies under $10 million at the box office, like Sentimental Value and Secret Agent.
Yeah. Yeah.
Frankenstein and Train Dreams have no box office at all.
Right.
It's a different. The whole thing has changed quite a bit.
Yeah. And also, I mean, Netflix changed that a lot also, because that's also that same, I mean, Netflix is probably last 10 years when they really started like building
It started
scenes.
with Roma, so I think it's 7
Yeah.
years.
7 years. Yeah. So that's the thing. So the thing is, like, if you can't even use box office anymore for anything, because even like when Barbie doesn't win Best Picture, even this insane box office, Black Panther doesn't win. I mean, it's like, you can't look at that. And then you look at Netflix where it's like, well, we have no idea how much it made. We have no idea how many people have seen it. We don't know how many Academy voters have seen these movies. So,
Which I consider a massive advantage
oh,
because they don't have to compete in the box office, and nobody says, "Oh, Frankenstein only did $28 million, so it's not really that great." Even though it's a giant movie, it didn't do that much business. I mean, it might have done 100, who knows? But my point, my thing is, they're not competing the same way Searchlight is competing, for instance,
yeah.
or Neon or Focus or anybody else. It's a weird. It changes the balance of things, but they were the first to do it, and I keep on saying it. The Academy did nothing to refocus the Academy Awards on theatrical.
Oh, sure.
In
Yeah.
fact, the Academy has done everything it can to focus the awards not on theatrical, even though there is still a theatrical standard. There are people in the Academy who feel like theatrical doesn't matter,
Mm.
but the Academy still requires you to qualify theatrically, and not just say you're a theatrical movie.
Right.
And if they're going to do it, they should do it.
Yeah.
They don't
Well,
really do it.
well, I mean, that's why Netflix bought the Paris Theater. That's why they bought. But what's the LA equivalent out there?
We have the Egyptian out here.
Egyptian.
They bought the American Cinemathex Theater, the Egyptian, and did
Okay.
a beautiful job refurbing it.
All right.
It's one of the nicest theaters you'll see in Los Angeles. I mean, it's like a 300-seat, perfect Atmos sound, fantastic projection. They actually have nitrate projectors. So they do nitrate weekends where they show very rarely. Nobody ever really shows them
Oh,
because
yeah.
they're very fragile, but they actually show nitrate weekends and things. They're very, for a company that is not theatrical, Netflix has done a beautiful job because the Paris also, they hired a really
Paris is
great,
great. Yeah.
a great team to manage it, and they do a really nice job.
Yeah.
But they're not a theatrical company, at least not yet.
Yeah. Well, the interesting thing is like Paris, especially. Like, I mean, they show all of the Netflix movies, like Jay Kelly and all the
Right.
recent ones, and actually they're one of the few theaters in New York that I know of that allows you to bring your Academy card or your Guild card and get in free, which they used to do everywhere
Yeah.
20 years ago, and now it's like no CCA, unfortunately.
Well, now they have the streaming, and that's now
Yeah.
become the way that people see movies, and it really sucks. I
Mm.
mean, to me, it's a serious problem because there are certain movies that play just fine on television.
Oh, yeah.
Marty Supreme plays perfectly well on television compared to a theater. I mean, I like the theatrical experience. I love the theatrical experience, but you can watch it on TV. You can watch Begonia on your TV.
Mm.
Not a different experience, really. Hamnet is a little bit more of an audience movie, so it kind of hearing other people crying and gasping probably helps. But then you get F1 or One Battle After Another. These movies are meant to be on a big screen, or Sinners, really.
Yeah.
They're not meant to be watched on television first.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, we all, no matter how big a cineast you are, you know that most people will see most movies on television. Okay, so we're a minority of the group. However, if we're looking at the best of the best, the only way to see F1 really is in IMAX. I mean, that's the way to see that movie.
Yeah.
And One Battle, I've gone to see it, I think 5 times now in VistaVision.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I've
okay.
sought out every VistaVision screening. It was at the Vista here, the Tarantino's movie here in theater in Los Angeles. They played it in VistaVision. They were actually sharing projectors with Warner Brothers.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
Warner Brothers had it in their big on lot theater,
Yeah.
the Ross, and then they gave them the projectors to the Vista to run for like 4 weeks or whatever it was, and then they gave the projectors back so they could show it at the Stephen J. There's only one projector
Hmm.
in town, so but I've seen it in IMAX also without the VistaVision, and it's still fine.
Okay.
I've watched it on television, but it's a different thing. It's a different experience.
Yeah. But I think even like Surat's like it's a movie that
Yes.
if you're not like in an audience and seeing their reactions to the things that happen. I mean,
Yeah.
I saw it, they play at the Metrograph. Metrograph is kind of like a block away, so it's my local theater. And so they play a lot of repertory thing, but they did
Yeah.
Surat with the director, and there were a lot of Academy members in the audience, and apparently they did it again like a couple days ago. So obviously Neon knows to
Yeah.
get those Academy members out to see it in the
You want to see
theater.
it in Atmos sound. That movie you want to see in a Dolby theater or
Yeah.
whatever, because the better the quality of the sound experience in that movie, the better the experience. Plus, it is a desert vista mostly,
Oh yeah.
so
Yeah.
a
But
beautiful big movie.
yeah, but again, like how come? So someone like loves one battle after
And by
another.
the way, Frankenstein too.
Oh
Frankenstein,
yeah, totally. I
I
saw it in
saw it the
Paris.
first time in Netflix's one of their regular theaters. It was fine,
Mm.
but then I saw it in IMAX at the Chinese out here. Better experience.
Oh yeah, I saw it at the Digital Arts, which is just kind of like a an edit bay, edit room that they
Right.
use. It has like 25 seats. But
Yeah.
that's the first time I saw it. But then the second time I saw it was at the Paris theater, and with an intro by Guillermo, not in
Yeah.
person, like a video intro. But the thing is, it's really yeah, it's just really interesting. But the thing is, okay, you love one battle after another. So why wouldn't you just pick it in every single category and just go,
I
go?
will.
Oh, you would? Okay, well there you
I
go.
mean, I'm not a voter,
Okay.
but I
Oh,
would.
yeah. Well,
And
that's the
I
thing.
did for CCA.
Yeah. So I'm curious. Yeah, so I'm curious. Like, why are Academy voters not? Why does it seem, at least from the what ends up winning, that it's not like going to be, that for cost, like Frankenstein's probably going to win two or three technical awards. One Battle for Another is probably going to win the big awards, maybe one
Well,
acting award, maybe.
we saw it with Oppenheimer. The whole thing has changed. One of the stats that is my favorite stat about the Academy Awards is since the expansion to 10 nominees for Best Picture, the first time, or the only time in the entire period, I think it's now 16 or 17 years, that a movie that was number one or number two at the box office in the group won.
Oh,
It
okay.
was like literally it became a weight around the neck of movies that did well. And before that, the thing is the 30 years before the expansion, literally every single, I think it was actually one case in which it wasn't one of the top two grossers of
Hmm.
the five won.
Hmm.
So back then it was like it was a smaller group. There was less like adventurism going on. You had more control of the Academy group to some degree. There was more, group think involved potentially, and you could narrow it down. Now it's a wide open field, and you're going to see, the only locks that seem to be in the race right now are Hamnet for Jessie Buckley, an
Hmm.
actress, and it looks like Timmy Chalamet is the lock for Best Actor.
Hmm.
So, and neither of those movies are going to get other wins.
Right. Exactly. And that's been happening a lot too. That's been happening a lot where
Yeah,
you get an acting win or whatever. And it's funny. I'm harking back to the year when the Hurt Locker went against Avatar, and that was like a good
that was
case
the
where,
first year of the expansion.
yeah, and that was a great year where you could look at like, well, this biggest, huge box office, 2 point whatever
Yeah,
billion worldwide against a movie that made like 16 million in theaters.
yep,
Like somebody could
barely
not,
made a blip.
yeah, somebody could not get. I actually did some Q&As at like a theater, like the Landmark, I think, but like, yeah, and that was full because it was a Q&A. But like otherwise, that movie could
Well,
not make
Hurt
the numbers.
Locker, it premiered at Venice and then it came to Toronto.
Oh yeah, sorry,
And
Toronto. Yeah,
Lionsgate bought it, but then didn't release it that year.
right.
So back then, the idea of releasing a movie you bought at Toronto or Venice was crazy to try to get to the Oscars. So they held it to the following May. And then it failed at the box. I mean, it absolutely failed at the box office. And I considered it from the minute I saw it one of the great films of that period. I thought it was the best film of that year.
Yeah.
But they didn't release the movie. And then it became the thing that really saved the movie was Catherine versus Jim.
No, sure.
It was really about Catherine Bigelow because once Catherine Bigelow kind of locked in for Best Director, and it became a thing where, okay, well, now it's a real movie. And we're going to, and in fact, they had fired their consultant before Christmas because they thought the movie wasn't, because it didn't get SAG nomination, I think, for Best ensemble or something,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
they decided it was over.
Mm.
And one of the strategies was back then was unusual was to send out discs to all SAG members.
All right.
Like 100,000 plus discs went out,
Yeah.
and then they got the Academy Award nomination, and then it was all Catherine versus Jim. And Hurt Locker was a better movie. I mean, Hurt Locker, Avatar is an amazing thing, but Hurt Locker is a great movie, in a classical sense, and it just and also just the tone of it, became very personal. Even though there were like even then there were like I guess one of the producers on Hurt Locker got caught sending emails to people that he wasn't supposed to send, so there was controversy over that. It was all very dramatic, but they found a hook. And one of the things this year, for instance, is nobody has really found the hook.
Right.
If you look at this season, one battle after another, I feel like Warner Brothers actually mishandled it on some level. They still may win. I hope they win. I love the movie, and I think they should win. And I think Paul Thomas Anderson should win. However, they kind of like let it float out there on its own. Whereas Sinners, they're like Sinners. It's
Right.
black. It's black. You got to go. It's the meaning.
Right.
And but then F1, for instance, which was originally released by Warner Brothers, Apple is doing the awards campaign. There's been no awards campaign. We haven't
Right.
seen Brad Pitt at all.
Oh, no. Yeah.
So it can't happen. I mean, people were shocked that it got in. It's a big hit movie.
Yeah, I'm not
It
shocked.
should have been in.
Yeah, I'm not shocked because I love it. I was in my that was
Terrific
my
movie.
that was in my top 10. It was it was
Yeah.
probably the only best pick. It's really funny. I keep thinking that maybe they should just like in the spirit of competition, maybe they should just do an Academy Q&A and just have Paul Thomas Anderson and Ryan Coogler just on stage together talking about giving their pitch on why they should vote for their movie versus
Well, the funny
others.
thing is, of course, Paul would never do that. Paul is the worst
Oh.
interview in the world generally because he doesn't really like to talk.
Sure.
And he doesn't like to talk about the work. And the only two interviews I've ever seen with him that were great. One was with Mark Maron because Mark Maron had no idea what he was talking about, and Paul kind of became the teacher, explaining how a set works, explaining how this is before Mark was in as many movies or whatever. But he was like explaining how he did the work I've never heard him explain anything about his movies before.
Oh, wow.
And then he did one at the Writers Guild once where it was Howard, what's his last name? I'm forgetting his last name. Anyway, it was the head of the Writers Guild at the time. And they sat down. It was like more like companions talking, like business, like colleagues having a chat.
Nice. Wow.
But Paul doesn't like to talk. And Ryan, interestingly enough, has a bit of a speech impediment, which I don't know if you've noticed, but he has somewhat of a speech impediment, which he's had. I first interviewed him for Fruitvale Station all those years ago. And but a very smart, very lovely, very thoughtful man. He's gotten better and better at doing the talking.
Yeah.
and Paul has gotten more and more Paul.
Yeah. But it would be just so interesting that every newspaper, every trade, everyone will pick it up, and every video it'll be on video,
Right.
It'll be like everyone in the academy will be like, oh, we know about this, we know about these two directors, they are the top people, maybe. But anyway, I want to talk about another topic, which is the international feature category, which also has changed because of the 10 best pictures. Obviously, last few years, I remember Moore getting in. That was like pretty big deal when Moore got into best picture.
Right.
And that was still 5, if I remember right, or it was less than 10, I think. That could be
No,
wrong.
Moore was a 10, but it was unusual at that point to get in. Yeah.
Yeah. And
it was considered to be a movie that could theoretically win.
Oh, yeah. And it had other categories. And then Roma also did the same thing. Roma was also another one of those. And then now recently it's like been we often will get 2. So, this year we thought we might get 3. No Other Choice completely tanked, didn't get it at all, which I actually was kind of surprising. I thought the more, I don't know.
Weirdly, I didn't find it surprising at all, but it's a weird season, and it could have happened, but it didn't.
Yeah,
it's kind of like, was Begonia going to get in, or was one of the foreign language, or
Sure.
But we really were locked down with the same 5 or 6 movies from the very beginning of the season.
Sure,
it hasn't really changed. Marty Supreme kind of came in, people expected it, but it came in late. But outside of that, we kind of known what this field looks like since September.
Yeah. But we have to figure that in the international feature, it's Sentimental Value versus The Secret Agent, because they got. But
the Secret Agent is I like Secret Agent and all that. I'm not as big a fan as some people.
I did not like it at all. Okay.
It's a challenging movie. Yeah. And the experience you had is the experience, and they're also mostly going to watch it in their houses.
Right. Yeah.
So not only is it a challenging movie, but they're going to be challenged not to get up and pee, not to stop and get a snack, not to go walk to the other room, not to turn it off. It's a very, I mean, the thing is this year they're checking to see how long you watch a movie kind of thing.
Oh,
So
sure.
they'll just let it run.
Oh,
But
yeah, exactly.
people, Secret Agent is a hard movie. The Filmmaker is a hard movie. He went through this like 2 or 3 years ago. He had his last movie where people were like, there was a big wave at the end of people were like, this movie is going to make it. And of course, it didn't do anything back then.
The documentary, that one, the ghost.
No, Bakura.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, that was kind of mixing that, But
but people were like
yeah,
obsessed.
I loved Aquarius. I think Aquarius is the best movie still. Aquarius is the one with Sofia
Yeah,
Braga. But the
yeah,
thing is that I mean I have family in Brazil. I have a big, but I did not I liked I'm Still Here. I love that movie. I thought that was really good. I thought it was very deserving of the win. But
yes.
this movie, it has problems, and it's kind of like I don't know. I feel like I'm alone. And
It's
that
a hard movie. You're not alone, but people don't
okay,
want to admit it. It's one of those it's become the movie where people want to say that it's their favorite, even though I mean there are people who really have it as their favorite. I'm not diminishing it, but
sure.
there are a lot of people who are just like it's like having what was the old thing about having Umberto Eco on your coffee table.
Hmm.
Oh, I read
Wow.
Umberto Eco. I read nobody read it. Everybody bought it. They could have it on their coffee table, and
Wow.
nobody read the damn thing.
Wow.
I
Yeah.
kind of feel like that's that in that position. And Neon has done a great job with it. They've done a great job with sentimental value. Their entire, one of their big goals for sentimental value was getting both girls nominated, all three girls nominated, and they did.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Um, Unlike again, One Battle After Another, which
Yeah.
changed their strategy and put the youngest actress in the lead, and the welcoming new actress in the lead should have been in supporting.
All right.
It just was, but they didn't want to have three of them running for supporting, and they ended up only getting the one in supporting.
Yeah.
It was just a strategic mistake. It didn't. I mean, it was a choice,
Hmm.
and they did, I also think putting it in comedy and the Globes, even though I don't think the Globes mean anything, was a diminishment of the movie, which they shouldn't have done. I still think they're going to end up winning because I think it's a year where a movie could come up and beat One Battle After Another, but no
Hmm.
movie has stepped up to beat One Battle After Another.
Sure. And it's interesting because I mean, Sentimental Value again, it has four acting nominations. Secret
Right?
Agent has one, the Wagner Moura, which is still a very unusual thing.
Yeah.
Sentimental Value was like completely snubbed at SAG. SAG didn't they wait? Am I wrong? Did they not
Yes. Well, the thing
nominate?
is, SAG generally doesn't do the foreign language stuff.
Okay.
Unless a movie is really locked in to win, they don't do it.
Yeah.
They leave it sitting there. So it's not that big a surprise. And it does, people, we've been doing this a long time. People measure the precursors and there's a whole generation of kids of I think of them as kids because I'm old, but
Mm.
who came up and use all, oh, this means this and this means that and this, it's all bullshit. They're
Yeah.
just wrong. The end of the day, particularly now more than ever,
Mm.
because now now Academy members have access to every movie for months.
Oh
So
yeah.
they've seen these 10 movies, right? Even if they don't finish watching all of them, even if they think that, some
Yeah.
people think Train Dreams is the greatest movie ever. Some people think it's boring. Some people love Frankenstein. Some people couldn't get past the first act. Some people think Marty Supreme is about an asshole. Some
Mm.
people think it's about a guy overcoming everything. There are strong feelings, obviously, but they all are seeing the movies. In the past, they didn't. And they had to go to a movie theater to do it. And there was a time where they made you prove that you went to a movie theater to see movies.
Mm.
It doesn't exist anymore. So it's a different kind of marketing effort. But the thing is, the industry keeps on adjusting to the marketing effort. And the thing that people talk about not changing the Academy Awards or changing this, changing that, I'm a big believer in changing the Academy Awards system as it is.
Mm. Yeah.
Changing, I think they should actually go to a quarterly or a half year system where
Interesting.
half the nominees come from the first half of the year, half the nominees come. So people release these movies in the first half of the year, not just all in the last 6 weeks.
Sure. Sure.
It's insanity. Nobody, and then you wait 3 months till March to go to see the award show. Who cares by then?
Mm.
It's 2026.
Yeah.
Everything is instant. Donald Trump can go through 48 things in the 3 months between, the beginning of the year and March before
Yeah.
the Oscars. He can go through 48 controversies and come and go.
Yeah. Oh yeah, of course. But it was funny because I'm only like 8, 9 months younger than you, but I still started doing Oscar stuff later. So I definitely came up doing the precursors.
Mm.
But let me ask you this. Do you think there's a time when the Academy will start adding more nominations to director or acting, or is it? Do you think it's time where we need to have more or no?
Dear God, I hope not. I think
Okay.
it's the worst thing that's happened. I think the Academy needs to narrow it, not widen it. I like
Okay.
the 10 films because I think it does add other films that deserve attention. I think it's great that Sacred Agent got a nomination and the Sentimental Value got a nomination.
Mhm.
I think that's a good thing for movies. However, I think the Academy has lost the thing about it being about movies in theaters. And it's not just about supporting theatrical, it's about supporting the whole thing.
Hmm.
Is just you got to have you got to say this is about going to the movies, sharing this experience with your friends. Blah, blah, blah. That's what draws people together.
Oh yeah.
You know, more people will end up seeing Wuthering Heights, you know, in the first 2 weekends than will watch the Academy Awards this year.
Oh
It's
sure.
not good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And the thing is, it's not just because Wuthering Heights has sex in it, and barely does really in certain ways, but there's no nudity in it. But for all of you who are hoping for nudity in Wuthering Heights, you never get the measure of Jacob Elordi. But
But
um, uh, they've kind of lost the track, and it's now like, what's the difference between the Emmys and the Oscars? Well, they picked these 20 movies that were going to be Oscar movies, and everything else is an Emmy. You know, it's like,
oh yeah.
okay.
No,
Nobody cares anymore. Nobody really cares about the Golden Globes. Nobody cares about the Critics' Choice Awards. It doesn't feel like there's no excitement. They have to find a
mm,
way to say this matters. Loving movies matters. Going to the theater matters. Having this experience with your friends matters.
mm,
And they're not even trying.
yeah.
It's frustrating.
But anyway, I only have like 6 minutes left on my Zoom 40 minutes. So I want to
Ooh.
quickly ask you the bonus question.
Yes.
You've talked about this a little bit, mainly talked about Tatiana Siegel and her
Oh,
Safdie Brothers thing. But
yeah.
California Post, I mean, as a New Yorker, I look at the New York Post and I hate it. I actually, New York Post has a lot of job openings. I need a job, I need money, and I will not go work there because I'll see the New York Post cover and they're trashing Mamdani for like wanting kids to go to do school online during snow days, and they have this insanely this caricature, I guess, again. But someone like, but California Post, what do you think? Do you think it's gonna be different from the New York Post out
Well,
there?
you know, I'm old enough to remember when they started running the New York Post out here.
Oh,
And
okay.
they started having the New York Post in newsstands and in kiosks on the street in Los Angeles, and that died off after about a year. I expect the same thing will happen. There's no real call for another newspaper here. I guess it's a way for them to try to brand more branding, but I just think it's a disaster. It's a nothing burger, in my opinion.
Hmm.
And the fact that they ran Tatiana's story, which is a retread of her variety story, if you want to be the most generous to it, it's just a retread of something she wrote years ago at
Hmm.
Variety. That's their lead thing. We're going to promote this show. Who
Hmm.
cares?
Yeah.
Who cares? Sports. I mean, look, the LA Times is terrible out here. Only people over 60 tend to subscribe to the LA Times anymore, sadly. They've ruined the paper. I mean, there's still some great people there, but they've gotten rid of a lot of really good people.
Hmm.
And uh, you know, it's another place to if you have a bird, you can put them in the bird cage.
Yeah.
And the trades also. I mean, we have the four Penske trades. Two of them have to go.
Yeah.
There's no real reason for four of them. I'm sure that they're in their accountant's office. There's a reason why the four of them are working for them for whatever reasons. But I actually think one of them will be gone in the next year for
Hmm.
sure. But they probably should get rid of two of them and just try to refocus. But mostly they're just trying to grab money everywhere they can, the Golden Globes and South
Yeah.
by Southwest,
Yeah.
and they've kind of ruined South by Southwest for me also.
Oh,
Uh,
I didn't realize that they took that over either. Okay.
they bought it 4 years ago and they made it a
Oh,
for-profit thing
okay. You know, it's funny.
because
It's
they're
interesting.
scumbags.
It's
I mean,
interesting.
he's a scumbag.
Yeah, people talk about since Jay Penske bought Hollywood Reporter, people talk about like, well, something's going to go. But anyway, we gotta wrap up because I'm going to run out of time. But I want to thank you for coming on the show. It's great. I love my second
Pleasure.
guest. Second guest is an amazing conversation. I love talking about Oscars and trades and everything. And everyone watching this, go check out the Hot Button on Substack.
Woo.
Go check out David Reads the Trades. You will be entertained. You will never look at the trades again. You just listen to David talk about them because it's such an
And
interesting
we'll
take.
always talk about stock market at the end. There you go.
So
Just
here
to
we
keep
go.
it
Yeah,
interesting, which means nothing anymore.
which is where I tune out. I usually I haven't I haven't owned stock in my entire life. So no,
Yeah.
not true. I got stock for my bar mitzvah.
Ah,
I
you
think it
still
was
have it?
RC. No, no. I have no idea what happened to it.
Do you have a cross 10?
I might still have it. I mean, it was like RCA or something. I don't know. I can't remember what it was.
Do you have cross pens from your bar mitzvah?
No, no, no.
That was the
Anyway.
big thing when I was a kid.
Oh, cross pens. Oh yeah, cross. I thought you were talking about like a stock cross pens. No, no, cross
No,
pens. Yeah, no, this. Yeah, I actually found one recently, and it was like, oh my God, I found a cross pen. It was great, and then I lost it. But anyway, David, great seeing you. Great to talk to you. Hopefully, we'll see you in person one of these days.
absolutely.
It will really mean you coming to New York or me coming to LA, and I very rarely go to LA, and you very
I
rarely.
miss coming to New York. I miss New York
Yeah,
enormously. I'm a Broadway person, so
yeah, it's terrible. That area is just like, especially on the holidays, you just don't want to be anywhere near Times
we
Square.
went. We last year we did a trip. A friend and I did a trip, and we did I think 10 shows in 6 days.
Oh, nice.
Because they only do like matinees on Fridays too. It was great. It was
Oh,
great.
nice. Excellent.
Yeah.
Listen, enjoy the rest of your weekend.
You
We'll,
too.
we'll talk again soon. Take care, man. Hopefully you enjoyed that conversation with David Poland. Such a cool guy, very knowledgeable about the industry and Oscars. Great to have him on the Weekend Warrior show. But let's get into what should be one of the biggest weekends at the box office this year so far. Note that I'm recording this on Saturday evening, having only seen two of the movies, and I've only seen reviews for a few of them. This was necessary since I'm spending Monday up at the Film at Lincoln Center watching press screenings for this year's Rendezvous with French cinema. This year it has a stacked lineup with new movies from François Ozon, Olivier Assayas, Julia Ducournau, Arnaud Desplejean, and many other great French filmmakers whose names I'm going to butcher if I try to pronounce them. Regardless, it's President's Day weekend, a holiday I'm going to hate due to having the worst president in the 250-year history of this country. And yes, that includes Nixon and Bush Jr. On the bright side, Valentine's Day is on Saturday, which will give a nice bump to certain movies opening this weekend. And that includes our main event.
Fall. Falling.
I can follow you like a dog to the end of the world.
Fall in love. Falling.
Are you feeling quite right?
What? Oh, yes, fine.
Yeah, I'm sounding the death knell for that awful teaser, which I've probably seen 40 or 50 times in front of other movies in theater. I hope to never see it again now this movie's coming out. This week's biggest release is undoubtedly Emerald Fennell's Wuthering Heights, starring Margot Robbie and recent Oscar nominee Jacob Elordi from Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein. Unless you've been living underneath a giant iPhone for 175 years, you know that title comes from Emily Bronte's, that was my air umlaut, you're welcome, being sold as the greatest love story ever told. Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet might want to have a word about that, but it does get mentioned in the movie. This has been one of the most anticipated movies of the year for many people, not just due to the popularity of a 19th century novel, especially among women, but it's also Margot Robbie's first movie since last year's A Big Bold Beautiful Journey. That movie paired with another Oscar nominee in Colin Farrell, and it bombed very badly. That's not likely to happen with Wuthering Heights, because it's a great romantic epic released over Valentine's Day weekend, which means it's going to get a nice bump on Saturday, which also happens to be date night for those who can actually get a date, i.e., not me. Emerald Fennell is best known for directing Promising Young Woman, her debut feature for which she won the Oscar for Original Screenplay in 2021. Carey Mulligan also received an Oscar nomination for that movie. And then she did Saltburn in 2023, which did better in theaters, probably because it wasn't affected by COVID. Despite the failure of Big Bold Beautiful Journey, Margot Robbie is still a huge draw, mostly due to her portrayal of Barbie in Greta Gerwig's massive blockbuster, as well as playing DC's Harley Quinn in 3 movies, including her own Birds of Prey movie, which was also affected by COVID. Based on the Mattel doll, Barbie opened with an astounding 162 million on its way to 636 million domestic and 1.5 billion worldwide. It's hard to imagine Wuthering Heights can do nearly that well, especially because it is R-rated and very driven by its sex, which includes a lot of kinky stuff, including bondage. Definitely not for kids or families. But it will appeal to women who haven't gotten many movies targeted directly towards them. And make no mistake, if women want to see a movie, they will go see it, which accounts for the success of The Housemaid, which opened just before Christmas. Robbie is pretty popular among women due to those bigger roles, but women also seem to love Jacob Elordi, even when he's covered with scars and makeup to play Frankenstein's creature. But that was on Netflix, so no box office to use for comparison. Elordi appeared in Fennell's Saltburn, which made 11.4 million, but that was less than the 20 million made by Sofia Coppola's Priscilla a few weeks earlier. In that one, Elordi played no less than Elvis. Still, Elordi may be better known for the Kissing Booth movies, which again were on Netflix, so no box office comparisons. I'm not sure how many single men might go see this on their own volition unless they're trying to woo a date, and it might work. Either way, there's a fantastic pairing that should make this a first choice among women 20 and up. From what I've seen and heard, the reactions to the movie are almost overwhelmingly positive, and that should lead to solid reviews, maybe in the 80 to 90% range on Rotten Tomatoes, but those won't be posting until Monday afternoon. Those few things should add up to a really strong opening for Wuthering Heights. At one point, I thought I could make over 50 million. Now I'm thinking it can make maybe more in the 45 to 48 million range. That's over the 4-day weekend. It's going to have a really great weekend. This is the strongest opening for the year so far. It'll probably be the strongest opening until March's Project Hail Mary, although there's a Pixar movie coming out early in March as well. The next movie is Sony Pictures Animation's Goat. So here's some trailer for that.
Come on.
Hey, Will, would you happen to have that wrench?
I just need a little more time.
I got mouths to feed. I don't need one more.
Hey, Will.
Oh, hey guys. That's a lot of kids.
Indeed, it is.
It's hard to believe there hasn't been a high-profile new animated movie since Christmas, and neither the SpongeBob movie nor David were really massive blockbusters. In fact, Disney's Zootopia 2 has been going strong since Thanksgiving, remaining in the top 5 for at least 10 weeks, which has to be some kind of record. Along comes this new sports-related family anime movie, Goat, from Sony Pictures Animation, involving talking animals playing, checking notes, something called Roarball. It definitely has nothing to do with basketball whatsoever, although it's produced by basketball great Steph Curry, and it features the voice of his good friend Gabrielle Union, as well as the voices of Nick Kroll, David Harbour, Patton Oswalt, and, of course, Steph Curry himself. Sony Pictures Animation has had a number of huge hits over the years, most notably the Into the Spider-Verse and Across the Spider-Verse movies. They've also dumped a lot of movies to Netflix that ended up doing well over there, most notably the presumptive Oscar favorite K-pop Demon Hunters, but also The Mitchells vs. Machines and some of the Hotel Transylvania sequels. Clearly, the company feels that theatrical animation has run its course, so it's nice for them to be back in the game, and hopefully it pays off for them. I ended up having to skip the press screening of Goat because it was too early on a Saturday morning, it was too cold, it was way uptown, and I had to record this week's show. I also just don't care. I've heard good things from the people who did see it, and I imagine reviews will be pretty good, although reviews probably won't matter very much either. It's a school and government holiday on Monday, and families with kids will be looking for something new to see now that they've already seen Zootopia 2 5 or more times, which I just don't get at all. One thing that Zootopia does prove is that talking animals do sell, especially among kids. And when you add in sports and Steph Curry, this could actually be an animated movie that black families go see, which is kind of a bit of a rarity these days. Opening in 3,500 theaters, the same amount as Wuthering Heights, Goat has a strong chance at making more than 25 million, maybe even as much as 30 million over the 4-day weekend. But that's not all. And we have another movie for adults. So let's check out that trailer.
Mike,
Sharon. So what are we driving?
If you can guess, I'll give you the keys to it.
Ooh, Chevy Chevelle, racing green.
Right color.
That is a beautiful car. I need to be in your line of work.
Amazon MGM is releasing Crime 101, an adaptation of a Don Winslow novella written and directed by Bart Layton, who directed the BAFTA award-winning doc The Imposter and also 2018's American Animals, which was a big hit at Sundance and South by Southwest in 2018. That also featured an early appearance by actor Barry Keoghan, who also appears in this movie. But the biggest star of the movie is going to be Chris Hemsworth, aka Thor, making his first live-action appearance since May 2024's Furiosa: A Mad Max Saga. And no, I'm not including his cameo in Deadpool and Wolverine. Doesn't count. He starred in George Miller's action prequel playing Warlord Demetrius. That movie really disappointed, making just 174.5 million worldwide. Other than his Thor appearances, Hemsworth has mostly been doing stuff on Netflix, like the Extraction movies and Spiderhead. His other attempts to launch franchises have been hit or miss. 2019's Men in Black International, which reteamed him with his Thor Ragnarok co-star Tessa Thompson, was also a pretty big disappointment with 254 million worldwide. Hemsworth really hasn't had many big hits when he tries to do things outside the Marvel universe, with the Paul Feig Ghostbusters being his only non-Marvel movie to make 100 million domestic. It's almost as if his fans only want to see him as Thor, which is pretty crazy, huh? It's something he has in common with Hugh Jackman, unfortunately. Crime 101 also reunites Hemsworth with Mark Ruffalo, who also appeared in Taika Waititi's Thor Ragnarok, as Hulk fought against Thor. But Ruffalo hasn't had much luck outside the Marvel movies either. But let's get back to him, because in more ways, this is about the return of Halle Berry, who will not be returning as Storm in Avengers Doomsday later this year, even though many of her fellow X-Men will be returning. Ms. Berry has been doing her own share of Netflix movies, but her 2024 horror movie Never Let Go, directed by Alejandra Haja, just didn't connect with audiences, making just 10.3 million domestic and a little more overseas. Before that, she appeared in Roland Emmerich's Moonfall, which did a little bit better with 59 million worldwide, but it definitely feels like her fan base has started to move on. You really have to go back to 2019's John Wick Chapter 3, which grossed $171 million, to see Ms. Berry playing a popular new character. Or go back even further to 2017's Kingsman: The Golden Circle, to when she was riding high, and that followed just a few years after her return to the X-Men for 2015's X-Men Days of Future Past, which was one of the last hugely successful installments of that franchise, with $750 million worldwide. Either way, it's great that she's back, and having the likes of Ruffalo and Barry Keoghan, who also appeared in a Marvel movie, if anyone remembers Eternals, will certainly help Crime 101 do okay. Ruffalo hasn't been that active either, appearing in Bong Joon-ho's Mickey 17 last year, and the Oscar-nominated Poor Things back in 2023. He really has been more focused on playing Dr. Bruce Banner and or the Hulk in various Marvel projects. Keegan played the lead role in Emerald Fennell's Saltburn opposite Jacob Elordi. He also had a small part in the Oscar-nominated The Banshees of Inisherin. Plus, he had the cameo as the latest actor to play the Joker at the end of Matt Reeves' The Batman in early 2022. There's still no word whether he'll return as a Joker or not, but he will be playing Ringo Starr in Sam Mendes' Beatles movie in just a few years. Keegan isn't quite an A-lister yet, but he's definitely on the verge, and if he keeps doing bigger movies like those, he will be up there with Hemsworth. So far, early reactions to Crime 101 have compared it to the likes of Michael Mann's Heat, which is a pretty lofty comparison, which I'm not sure I fully believe. I personally won't be seeing Crime 101 until Monday night, when they'll be doing previews nationwide. Reviews are embargoed until Wednesday morning, although in theory, those previews are public, so I should be able to review it, but I'll be good. I'll have my review in print either on Wednesday or Thursday. Amazon MGM has been having a busy year so far, and they're opening Crime 101 into over 3,000 theaters, which seems to be something they've been able to do quite regularly, as seen by Mercy. Honestly, I'm not sure this can do that much better, even with the holiday weekend. I expect Crime 101 to open in the 10 to 11 million range for the 4-day weekend, unless reviews on Wednesday are absolute raves, and that could be enough to drive older men to go see it in theaters over the weekend. I have one more movie to talk about in this week's show, so let's watch a trailer for that.
There's some shit that's about to come down that I can't prepare you for. It's gonna try to give you everything you ever wanted. But in the end, it will all be a lie. Are any of you even listening to me?
I traveled here today to tell you that things do not go well for you in the future.
But tonight we got a shot. There's a perfect configuration of people in this diner that can save humanity.
What happens if we fail?
I really don't like to say it out loud. It's kind of a morale.
It's pretty awesome that Pirates of the Caribbean and A Cure for Wellness director Gore Verbinski is back with the crazy sci-fi comedy Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die. It puts Sam Rockwell in the role of a nameless time traveler who bursts into a diner, warning the patrons the future is an absolute disaster. He's come back in time to put together a team to stop the inevitable. The movie follows Rockwell and the team he puts together, which features Haley Lou Richardson, Juno Temple, Zazie Beetz, and Michael Pena as they try to prevent this horrible future. The movie premiered last year at Genre Fest, like Fantastic Fest and Beyond Fest, I believe without distribution. It got great reviews, and it's currently at 93% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is impressive. This is a very unusual release for Briarcliff, the former Open Road, who have mostly been releasing Liam Neeson movies during the pandemic. Oddly, we have a Liam Neeson movie this week, but it's not released by Briarcliff. But Briarcliff knows they have a movie that plays well with audiences since they previewed it as a Monday Mystery Movie a few weeks back, and they're giving it even more previews on Tuesday. It's definitely a bit of an oddball of a movie, one that's likely to find a younger audience than, say, something like Crime 101, which is very much a dad movie. There's a good chance that Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die will bring the older teen and 20-something males that haven't already seen it with the previews, and who are looking for something fun or crazy alternative to what else is in theaters. Still, it's a very busy weekend, and without knowing our theater count, I can't really see this making more than 4 to 5 million over the 4-day weekend. But again, that theater count is so important, and we're getting fewer and fewer of those in advance these days, which does not help me whatsoever. Lastly, there are 2 movies I haven't seen at the time of recording this. There's Johnny Campbell's Cold Storage, which is based on a novel by David Koepp, who adapted himself. It stars Joe Keery from Stranger Things, Georgina Campbell from Barbarian, and Liam Neeson, who, as I mentioned, usually would be in a movie released by Briarcliff. So I have no idea what's happening now. I haven't read the book, nor have I seen the movie yet, so I'm holding off on discussing its box office for now, although reviews are pretty good, 91% on Rotten Tomatoes so far. I also haven't watched Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie, which is being released by Neon Marley this weekend. This movie is based on a popular Canadian show I've also never seen, which is the theme of this week's show. The movie premiered at the Toronto International Film Festival last September, and it did very well. And there even was a roadshow last fall that I missed. I actually haven't watched the movie yet, and I haven't watched the trailer, so I have no effing clue what to expect from this, and that includes its box office potential. So maybe I'll write about that in the print edition. I'm going to leave you this week with a sketch from a comedian and musician who had a huge influence on my life, Mr. Victor Borge, who actually had a bit about punctuation that semi-inspired some of my jokes this week, so you can definitely blame him. I can't remember where I first saw him, but I actually met him when I was 6 years old because my father took me to his show, and he asked if there were any kids in the audience, and when I raised my hand, he said, "Get out," because it wasn't a kid-friendly show. Anyway, if you don't know Victor Borge, look him up. He even appeared on The Muppet Show, and he was just a legend of early television. So enjoy the bit he calls phonetic punctuation, and see you next week.
I invented it many years ago when I first noticed that people who speak together often fail to understand each other clearly. Now, when we read or write, we use punctuation marks in order to underline the meaning of our sentences, but we do not have that support when we speak. So why not integrate punctuation marks into our speech? Then we can underline what we intend to convey to each other verbally. Now, what the hell was all that noise? I always get involved in all these speeches and things like that. And then, but of course, and then of course, and that is it was right. I'll teach you how to use the system. It's very simple. A period sounds like this. A dash, an exclamation point is a vertical dash with a period underneath. See, the comma, quotation are two commas. Or if you happen to be left-handed. Question mark is a little difficult. Finally, the colon, the two little dots, you can put them over each other, or you can put them under each other, or you can put them wherever you want to put them. That's it. I have a short story right here in the beginning of the book. It's coming up. Page 9. Oh. Page 6. In the open window there suddenly came light. Beautiful Elinor sat alone dreaming of but one thing. 2 years had passed since she met Sir Henry. She could still remember the unhappy evening when her father had thrown him out. They had been sitting in the park, and Henry had said, "Darling." Is this the first time you have loved? She had answered, yes. But it is so wonderful that I hope it shall not be the last. It's getting a little messy here, but otherwise. Would you like to move back one row? Suddenly she heard a well-known sound. It was he. In 2 strides he was near her, embraced, kissed and caressed her. Henry! What is love? She asked. He answered, well, I couldn't live without it. She asked, I'm sorry. She was a little left-handed. Where have your thoughts been? And he answered, with thee, my maiden. Suddenly he had gone. Oop. All she heard was the well-known sound of his departing horse.
Which this year has a stacked lineup with new movies from François Ozon, Olivia Assayas, Julia Ducournau, Arnaud Desplechin, and other great films. Oh my God, what the fuck?